Hey everybody, Zac Buchanan Knives here. I had a viewer ask a question about my chart for making guards and the math that I do, so I'm going to go ahead and run through that now. Sorry if that's not interesting. I know that it's going to be pretty boring. But thanks for watching if you do, and have a great day if you don't. All right, so first of all, I'm just going to go through the chart and go over what each thing is. So the knife, I'll just put the name of the knife here so that I know which numbers the knife corresponds to. Then I'll have the blade width, which is from this side to this side, how wide the blade actually is. Then I have blade thickness, which is how thick the blade is. I have the guard width, which is from this side to this side of the guard. And then guard length, which is from one end to the guard to the other end of the guard. Then we go into center. This is to find the center. So if I have to center my cutter, I know exactly where the center is, and I have equal space on either side of the slot. To find the center, we will use the guard width plus the cutter, and then we will divide that number by 2. Next, we have the length of the cut. That's going to determine how long we are moving this on the mill. So to get the length of the cut and how far we're going to move the cutter on the mill, we're going to take the blade width. We will subtract the cutter from the width of the blade, leaving us with how much extra, because we already have the cutter making a little hole, and then we have to move this edge all the way over to here. So it's the blade width minus the cutter, all right? Then we have widen each side. So how much am I going to widen each of these sides, because the cutter is not the exact same diameter as the thickness of this blade. So for widening each side, we will take the blade thickness, we will subtract the cutter from the blade thickness, and once we have that number, we will divide that number by 2. All right. Moving on to the quillion, which is the little piece of guard that sticks over past the side. Okay, it'll come out like this, whoop, and then it'll go up, and then it'll come back, it'll go down, and it'll go whoop, and it'll be a nice little guard. So those quillions, to find out the length of them, we'll take the length of the guard, we'll subtract the blade width from that, and then once we have that number, we'll divide that number by 2. And that will give us how much space is left over once we remove the material for the slot. Kinds of guards, where it slides on over the side rather than sliding on down over the tip of the blade and to rest on these shoulders. It'll just slide in like a hunter into a little notch. Okay, so each side represents the actual width of these sides of the guard. To find each side, we'll use the guard width, we'll subtract the blade thickness, and we'll hit equals, and then once we have that number, we'll divide that number by 2. All right, the depth of the cut. Depth of the cut refers to from here, how far we'll go in to get to the stopping point so that the width of the blade width has enough space and the guard actually covers the whole face of your knife. So that is the depth of cut. Depth of cut will be the blade width plus 50 thousandths. And that's just so that you have a little bit extra hanging out over the edge that you can then grind that down flush. You don't want it to end up short. We want it to just go a little bit over. All right, and then we have the last one, which is widen side. So for these, I don't worry so much about keeping both sides even. If you want to do that, you can just use the same, widen each side. But I like to just do one side. It makes it easier because I just line up my guard or my cutter with the line that I scribe here, and then I just take that cut, move it all up at once, and take off the full cut in one pass. So that's the widen side, because we're only widening one side instead of widening each side. So widen side, to get that, we'll just take the blade thickness and subtract the cutter, and then that will leave us with whatever is left over, and that's what we need to remove to make sure that the blade can fit in. All right, so now I'm just going to go over basically what this is going to look like if you are actually doing this. So you would say that this is a Dixon. I'll just write D-I-X-O-N. Sorry, that looks crappy. I'm writing while looking at the phone. All right, so we're just going to assume that this blade is like an inch and a quarter. We'll just say 1.25. Okay, blade thickness, we'll just estimate, oops, it's actually supposed to be a 1/4 inch, but it's probably closer to 300 thousandths. So we'll just write down 300 thousandths. Then the guard length, or guard width, excuse me. Guard width, this one has been milled already, so it's supposed to be 550 thousandths. So we'll just go ahead and write that, 550 thousandths. The guard length, we'll just, again, get a rough measurement. It's looking like about 2.5. We'll just say 2.5. 2.5. Ooh, man. All right. So the center, again, we'll go guard width plus the cutter. Oh, and the cutter over here, where are we at? 1/4 inch, which is 0.25. All right, so we'll take the guard width, boop, and we'll pump that into our calculator. Then we'll add in the cutter of 0.25. So that would be 0.25, would be 8. So it'd be 800 thousandths. We'd divide that by 2, and we'd see that our center is 400 thousandths. All right, and then we would just go through with all of our numbers, and we'd do the math with these equations, enter them on here, and then eventually we would move them over and scribe them out on the guard. If you want to see that, I can do that, but this was just intended to go over the chart and how I do my math. If you want that video, just go ahead and request it, and I'll see if I can do it. Well, I hope that wasn't too boring for you guys. I tried to make it quick and concise. Have a great day, and see you later.